Hey everybody,
Okay.
welcome back to the channel. Today we have an amazing guest in store for you guys. His name is Denley, and many of you probably know some of the companies. He's a co-founder of Sunwarrior and also Soul Journey, and he has an amazing story. He actually, way back when, went raw vegan for 8 years straight and did not eat one bite of cooked food. I was like, I have to have you on and hear this story. And he had some troubles, I guess, that led him to that, and he is currently a raw vegan and he knows so much about the health and wellness field. So let's get right into it. Hey, Denley, how's it going?
Well, good morning. It's going good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm
I'm excited for
amazing.
this.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me on.
yeah, it's a pleasure. I think you're such a great person and I'm a big fan of your products. And I just think you have such an ethical way of running your business and you're such a good person. And obviously, anyone that creates a line of products in the health field, typically they are drawn to that because they're very passionate about it and something happened to lead them down that path. So I would love to hear your health journey, like what originally led you to raw for that 8 years way back when.
Okay. Well, okay, this is my story. It all begins when I'm a boy. I'm a young boy, and my folks had a fruit stand. I grew up in the fruit stand. I know the fruit business. And so that little fruit stand got bigger and bigger. And so my folks sold other things than just fruits and vegetables. So you've heard of the story, you are what you eat. So as a boy, I became a Twinkie, a Coke, puff of smoke. So yeah. So by the time I reached my teenage years, I'm not a well boy, obviously. And so I in and out of the hospital. I developed asthma, bronchitis, and it was miserable. And this is back in the 60s. And my mother finds a book and she reads it, and it's all about wheatgrass juice by Ann Wigmore. It was called God's Manna. And so she started growing this wheat out behind the house and cut it off. And they didn't have wheatgrass juicers back then. It was a meat grinder, a little hand meat.
Wow.
She ground that wheat in there and squoze the juice out. And she says, "Come here, boy. You're going to drink this." I could not believe she made me drink that. Oh my gosh, what are you doing? And but something happened to me. It's like I was on a natural high. I'm going, whoa, what is this? And I could feel it in my lungs. I could feel it, just the power of that in my lungs. So I linked what I put in my mouth had something to do with how I felt. It's, a big deal. So uh, I make it through those years, and I get married. We start having kids, and had a boy and a girl, and then we had twin daughters. And right off the bat, the girls were sick. They had health issues, so the nut doesn't fall too far from the tree. And so right off the bat, constant diarrhea, constant throwing up all over everything and everybody. And icing on the cake is they had respiratory infection. And so when you have little babies, you can't mess with that. I mean, we
No.
had the doctor. That was serious. And they put them on antibiotics, and about a month later, they'd be sick. And so it got to be like every month they were back to the doctor. And we didn't, we're young, dumb, and don't know anything. And so they something started to happen though. Instead of every 4 weeks, it was like every 3 weeks. And then it just got closer and closer and closer between doctor visits. It got to the point that they had to be on medication all the time, antibiotics all the time, or they were sick.
Wow.
And then, the light bulb turned on, and we're going, "Oh my gosh, I wonder if there's something wrong with them." Duh. And so we took him to the doctor and had him to a specialist, Dr. Smith, and he ran tests on our babies, and he goes, "Wow, your girls have cystic fibrosis." And we're going, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah." So that put us in shock because my older sister, had a baby die of that, previously. So now we're in shock, and we say, "So what's the prognosis here, doc? What do we do?" And he goes, what's going to happen? He says, "Well, they have to live in a bubble. You got to keep these kids protected, and they won't live. They live to be like 18 or 20, their late teens, and they'll never have families. You're going to be too young. They don't have the health, and But the first thing we need to do is double up on that medication, on that antibiotics. We need to double up and hit it, And they wanted us to take them to the University of Utah Medical Center like 3 times a week, and pig pancreas powder, all kinds of stuff, treatments. And when he told me that I'm going, this makes no sense. They're getting my babies now. I find out my babies are dying, and you want me to do double up on what isn't working? Einstein has a saying: if you want different results, doing the same thing is insanity. And so, I said, no way am I going to do that. That was like an insult to my intelligence. How stupid do you think I am to do that? And so we didn't know what to do. Long story short, we were led, a friend led us to a lady up north of Salt Lake, and she sat us down. She was an angel. I'm telling you. She sat us down and looked at our girls and looked at us. And she said 2 things that I'll never forget. The first thing she said was, Denley, if you'll do what I tell you to do, I'll make you promise you'll never have your babies back to the doctor or the hospital again. I go, like, ever? That's a long time. She goes, don't you know? Your answer lies in nature. And right then and there, that threw me right back to my wheatgrass juice days. And I'm going, oh my gosh, that's the only thing that felt right. You know the feeling you get in your heart when something's right. It was true. I got excited. I actually got excited. She sent us home, unpacking our fridge, freezer, cupboards, nothing from a can or a box. For the most part, she put us on a raw food diet. This is back in the 70s now, for the most part, and for as much as we knew. And instantly, Gillian, we became the neighborhood weirdos. Instantly. And we are still the neighborhood weirdos. But now it's very cool to be weird. We're on the cutting edge of weird. Yeah. And so that was 45 years ago, 44 years ago. And they're still here. They're still here with us. And they got sick. They still got sick. And but she told us what to do. I mean, we know how to get little kids better. And over that, we learned some very cool things and gave us that foundation. But so one of them has 7 kids and the other one has 8.
Wow.
That's 15 grandkids that we wouldn't have had.
Wow.
And 2 daughters. We became wise to, that nature does have the answer. And it's been my mantra, all my life now. And so we became passionate about it, very, very passionate about it. And we got our health food store. We had that, and then eventually got led into Sunwarrior. And it's been life-changing. We got into more raw food. I read all the books, all the old timers, and Wigmore and Paul Bragg, all those greats from the past, Arnold Ehret, and just kind of kept building and learning and refining. And I have to say, that's how I found you, is listening to your podcast. Listening to your podcast, they strengthen me. It's like I have to hear stuff. Inspirational. You're doing a good thing.
Thank you.
Dr. Morse every morning. He's my hero. He changed my life more.
Yeah,
So,
he is a hero. Does the audio sound okay? I hear almost like a roar when I talk. Does it sound okay?
Oh, well, you sound good to me. But
okay, good. Whenever I'm talking, I hear like a roar, like a lion sound.
Oh.
I'm like, what is this?
Well,
so speaking of lions, speaking of animals, have you had any animal products all these years or no?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. Back after we got off the raw kick, then I thought, well, the egg yolk thing, raw egg yolks and raw cheese. I got into some of that. Then I had my blood tested, some years ago, and he goes, "Well, your cholesterol is really high." I'm going, okay, hello. So I got that, so had a little instance there for a little bit, but
Yeah.
that goes right back to the truth of it all, really, truly.
Yeah, I saw this raw carnivore. His video popped up on my YouTube the other day, and he's a raw carnivore. I watched it for a second. I usually don't watch those videos, but he was saying he had his blood work recently tested, or I don't know if he's raw carnivore. He's carnivore, not raw carnivore.
Okay.
But and his cholesterol was so high and like his
Oh,
blood. So he was like, I'm not doing it anymore. But okay, so I need to rewind. There's just so much to your story here. So your daughters, thank God you found this angel and that
oh,
everything's okay. Like, I want to ask, what do you think would have happened had you not discovered this woman? Like, I guess maybe the most unfortunate thing, right? Thank God you found her.
well, and that's where I put the credit, the whole thing behind the higher power, behind God. He really led us to it, and has led has put our feet on the journey. You know, when it was happening, we're going, oh, this is terrible. This is the most, most terrible thing that, to lose your kids. There's nothing worse. And
Mhm.
we thought we were going to. And but it became a blessing. Really, it put our feet on a different path that we weren't expecting. And I don't know what we would have done had we not been led, but we were. And so I feel like a big responsibility to share. And when I got into raw food before, man, I couldn't keep my mouth shut. I'm going to save the world. But I found out that the world doesn't want to be saved. Only a few are really interested. And so I don't really talk about it unless they ask. And they ask me, and then is when it is my time to shine. And I will pour it on. And whether they receive it or not, I've done my part, I feel like. And, we're on the same mission. We're on the same path, by the way. We really are. And so I will certainly share. We had some people move in our neighborhood prior, when we had just changed our diet back a long time ago. And their boy had cystic fibrosis. And of course, the neighbors all talk. They're all talking. Oh well, talk to Denley and Jan. Their girls seem to be doing pretty good. They haven't. They seem to be coming along. They were a few years older then, and they were out. We had them out running around the block, and had them out in the sunshine and jumping on trampolines and all kinds of things that we could do. And so they asked us to come over to their place and share what they might do with their boy. And we we're excited. We laid out the whole program in front of them, and they looked at us like, these guys are crazy. We would never do that. We could never do that. And we wouldn't ever eat like that. And so, standing on the front porch as they closed the door behind us, I'm going, my gosh, I think I just had my first rejection. We were totally rejected. And a few years later, that boy didn't live a long life, and he was gone. And it wasn't a happy life. It was, miserable. And it's a choice. I don't blame these people because, we make decisions based on what we know,
Mhm.
and not everybody's open to this, and to those of us that are on this path, it's the only thing that makes sense. And to people that are not, they never link what they put in their mouth has anything to do with how they feel.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced what we put in our mouth has everything to do with how we feel, how we think, how we act. It affects our personality. It's everything. To me, that's the big link.
It's
And
so true. It's a huge difference because there have been a few times over the years where I've had cheat days and had coffee and all kinds of things I don't normally consume. And then I'm doing all kinds of, I'm thinking different thoughts. I'm attracted to different people. It's so affects me. And you know what I love what you said, how I love how with this situation, it turned out to be a blessing and turned out to be a good thing because people can be going through like the hardest times ever. And maybe it's actually like the best thing to be ever happening to them, but they just can't see it in the moment. So thank God, like it turned out to be a blessing. It changed your whole life, like trajectory. You've made such an impact on the planet. So I want to hear more about your story first, too. Then you reached a point where you did 8 years of only raw food. So when that began, how was that experience? How did that change your life?
just one thing led to another, and when one puts their foot on the path of truth, it just kind of had to be. And so what happened is we went to OHI, Optimum Health Institute in San Diego, and we went a whole week there eating the raw food. And they convinced me that is the way. So I come home on fire for like, it lasted 2 days. I'm going, I don't know how to do that. This doesn't work. And I didn't think you could actually do it. And then it was just like a week later, we go to the gym, and this girl says, "Oh yeah, I do raw food now." And I'm going, what do you mean you do? How? She goes, oh, there's a book out there by the guy by the name of David Wolfe, and they're hanging from a tree in this book. And he does raw food. He's done it for years. And I'm going, I went raw food right then. I went raw. That minute, all I had to do is know that somebody could do it. I just had to believe it. And so before we even read his book, we went raw from that minute on. And we've learned some things since then to make it easier. I got tired after 8 years of eating salad like twice a day. And I didn't eat enough fruit. And now I see Doug Graham, his thinking on, more fruit, and basically learn some things, how to do it. And it's really easy when you do it the right way. And so anyway, yeah, I became very vigilant, and it was kind of like a religion for me. I have to admit that 8 years, I could not let anything touch my lips. It was cooked. Once, I will admit, once in Belize, these people, they were not Amish, but anyway, they had stewed mangoes, and we were at their house, and I just didn't have the guts to say no, so I ate a stewed mango. But it was a religion with me, and now it's a little more sensible. I mean, if you goof up, you goof up. Get back on the next day. It's like if I would have eaten one raw thing, then I would have never, or one cooked thing, then I broke it. Now I'm not raw anymore, and now I've ruined the whole thing. But it's not that way. It's, if you goof up, get back on and keep it going.
Yeah.
The truth. And so, yeah, a lot more fruit. That's what I'm doing now. Is a lot more fruit in a smoothie form, and it's so filling, so satisfying, and it works really, really well. And then have a salad at night, fruit all day, salad at night, working really, really well for me. And
do you notice a big difference in how you feel all raw versus if you eat cooked? Like when you went raw way back when too, did you notice a big difference like in how you feel or no?
yeah, yes. At first, I had a lot of things that I had to get out of me, emotions. At first, I had fear and things, and I had a lot of detoxing to do, a lot of detox. I did a lot of cleanses, a lot of fasts and things, but it was a refining time emotionally, and now jumping back on raw, I never ventured that far from raw, and always like twice a year. I'm like you, twice a year I try to go on a cleanse, a juice cleanse, and so there was a lady here in town that she lived to be like 103 or 4. And when she hit her 100th birthday, I'm going, oh, okay, I got to go meet this lady, see what she does. And went to her house, and she goes, yeah, I do this thing every year. It's like a 10-day lemon juice cleanse, the master cleanse, every year for 10 days, And that was a good thing for me. I'm going, yeah, she's onto something.
Wow.
And yeah, twice a year I like to go on a cleanse, watermelon, whatever. Just went on that watermelon thing, and so it's really, really good for you. And I think that's a big thing. The digestion part of it works a lot better eating the raw thing, and you feel it when you eat cooked food. I just don't feel as good.
Me too.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. And so anyway, try to stay on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, well, you said you've done a lot of cleanses over the years. What would you say, is there any that sticks out to you as like the most effective cleanse you've done out of all of them?
Yeah, I think the first 21-day lemon juice master cleanse, I went on that years ago, and I've done another one since then. And it was like a spiritual experience to me. And I lost like 30 pounds. It was tremendous. I mean, I lost a lot of weight, and then I tweaked my diet and just refined. But it was, I hate to say this, I had hemorrhoids. And after that 21 days, they were gone. And I'm going, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Wasn't expecting that. And that's a big deal, And so, yeah, it just got better and better. You see people as they age, they start walking like they're older. And, that's what I don't want. So that's my motivation now is I don't want to walk. I don't want to talk. I don't want to think like old. We want to be young. We are young. We stay young. That's the goal. And that's where you can just see it all over. If you want to be on the money, if you want to be quick in the mind, if you want to, be fluid and not have the aches and pains, that's the only way to go because there's a choice. It's all about choice. And what we put right here affects everything. And you can just watch it. That's my motivation now. And it's the truth.
Wow.
Just give me the truth,
Yeah, amazing. I love it. And okay, so then you've gone on and you started some companies in the health field. So you started Sunwarrior, you're a co-founder of Sunwarrior and Soul Journey. So how did that come about? And
Okay.
like I'm just wondering, like, how did you source like the best ingredients and like how did everything go with starting the companies?
Yeah. So on the raw food thing, it led me to so many paths like sun gazing and all these other paths that I went on trying to perfect. And we go to the Raw Spirit Fest in Sedona, and David Wolf introduced me to a guy. He's a big guy, big bodybuilder, and his name was Nick. And I go, wow. As I shook his hand, I said, "Look like you work out." And he goes, "Yeah, looks like you don't." Hello. Actually, that's not how it did. He was really nice to me, but he was a big guy, and I love Nick. Anyway, he was all about doing a raw vegan protein that you didn't want the soy. That's like a gut bomb, and then the whey, as joints were aching, and it's not a health food. Whey protein is not a health food, and he wanted a raw vegan health food, protein powder. And that, I didn't take protein back then. I'm going, all I did was raw food. But he talked me into it. So we took about a year to come up with the product and it went boom. David Wolf, Mike Adams, a lot of the influencers talked about us. And I can't say enough good things about David Wolf and Mike Adams. They're so, awesome people. There's been so many teachers along the way that I just appreciate. I could mention them all day, but it took off, and we've done other things. We've got a whole line of health products now, and we do the minerals, we do the greens. Our Ormus greens are amazing, and just one thing after another to give a foundation of good health, good stable health, and so again, trying to do our part to offer good things for you,
Mhm.
So, it's been a ride, been 15 years ago. So,
Wow, no way. Amazing.
yeah.
Well, congrats on all the success with that too. And is there like any product that comes to mind that's like your favorite product? Or like if somebody was only going to get one product, like what do you think is like the most beneficial or like one of your favorite products?
That's a good question. Yes, I have two actually. Our minerals, they're plant-based minerals called Liquid Light. Named it that way because it's the spark of life, and we're all mineral deficient for the most part. I mean, where are we getting them? Unless you're eating, like raw and doing all these things. Most people are mineral deficient, and so our minerals come from plants, and the magic to our minerals is fulvic acid, which is actually a delivery of nutrients into the cell. So with our minerals, you get cellular delivery. And then the other product is the greens, Ormus greens. We grow those up in the mountains here in Utah.
Wow.
And a lot of it is juice powder. We grow them young, cut them, juice them right on the spot, and then dry them about 80 or 90 degrees. So they're alive. They're alive. You put your spoon in it, and they want to jump off the spoon. You can see the
Uh-huh.
energy in our greens. They're really, and those two together are like a match made in heaven because it alkalizes your body and mineralizes your body, natural vitamins and minerals. Those two products there, if you can't get anything else, it gives you so much in those products. I mean, I have all kinds of testimonials
Yeah.
on those things that really, you can see when you looking at a person if they're getting what they need. Their hair, you can see the quality of their hair and the glow in their skin in their eyes. You can pick up on that, whether they're doing well or not. And and I believe being alkaline is a big deal. Learning from Dr. Morris, learning from Shane Sterling, and being alkaline is everything. And so there comes your fruit and things like that. But I still I have a guy that at the gym. He's actually my neighbor, and he goes, "Hey, Denley, I'm just gonna tell you something right now. I just found Sunwarrior, and I just found your green, and they changed my life." I'm going, "Wow." He said, "No, I mean, really, my digestion, my energy, I use them for a pre-workout. I don't need a pre-workout with your greens." And he said, "If you ever want a testimonial, I'm anytime." And then about a year later, I'm going, "Wow, Clay, you look amazing. What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm telling you, it's your greens. I'll do a testimonial." And just shortly after that, his sister got cancer, and they needed a stem cell donor. And he says, "I'll donate." And the doctor says, "Well, you're 50. We can try. We can see how the tests run." And they took tests, and they're going, "What are you doing? We've not seen blood like this ever. What do you do?" "Denley, I promise you, I'm not taking anything else. It's your greens. I'm telling you, I'll do a testimonial." He finally did a testimony. He's got his whole family. He's got a sick sister on him. He's got all his relatives. Anyway, it's I got all kinds of amazing stories about those two products, minerals and greens. They pull the heavy metals out of your system. They balance your pH, and you probably don't want to just hear about my two favorite products, but the other thing about the minerals is they actually affect your brain, because all your organs and glands have to be mineralized for them to function properly. There's a book out there by 𝙎𝘼𝙑𝙀, and he talks about the magic of minerals. And the question is can your brain operate and function properly if it's not being nourished properly? The answer is no.
No.
We cannot think properly unless we're being nourished properly. And so he talks about the function of the brain. And if you want to think balanced, if you want success in your life, really success, you have to make the right choices, decisions. You have to think level. You have to think, right. And so this has to be nourished. Look at all the crazy things happening out there. And all you have to do is link their diet with the crazy stuff they're doing. Like the murders out there.
Yeah.
Look at their diet.
It's so true. I think so much of it is diet too. It's so true. I know it's so crazy, and so many people don't connect it. And you're right. I think the brain is so important. That's why I take the algae too, and I love it because I think it's so important to get the EPA, DHA, especially when you're vegan, right? So I think it's great you have all these products. I think it's just really great for people to consider. And it must be from a business perspective, has it been so much work to launch all of this? And has it been worth it? Has it felt rewarding and your purpose in life?
Yeah, yes. I could have never personally done what the company has done. It's so much bigger than I am. And my team is so much smarter than I am. And we come up with some great ideas. It's a team effort for sure. And it's been wonderful. And I've had great partners. Nick Stern has been amazing, and my partners have been good, and the people that work for me are just amazing people. And so it's a bigger. I believe that we have been led. We've been Providence has been over us and watching over us, and because we've made many screw ups, believe me.
Well, yeah, everyone does.
Yeah, we're still alive, So, but yeah, it's very rewarding because there's a lot of options plant-based. Because I believe in life. Life begets life, living bodies, living food, and we're a company of life. And so, we have a collagen builder. And people wanted collagen. I'm going, well, it comes from an animal, and so we came up with a collagen that's plant-based, and we've eliminated the factory farming and the chemicals and the pesticides and hormones. But biggest of all, we've eliminated the slaughterhouse.
Mm-hmm.
We are a company of life. That's who we are, not a company of death. If we can do our part to stop the shedding of blood, I will feel very, very good. The more we can pass that message on.
Yeah, incredible. And what would you say maybe are maybe like the three greatest lessons you've learned in business over time? Because you've created such a successful company, right? Or even not three, even like one or two, anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, be more decisive, have the right people in the right place. That's been a good lesson for me. Put more money into marketing. I think, keep growing it, and innovation. There's two things, the bottom line to this conversation is, for a successful business, put your time and money into marketing and innovation.
Hmm.
Innovate new things and keep marketing. And that's two biggies.
Great
Takeaway.
points. And yeah, everything's like online now, right? I feel like there's so many opportunities now online too, especially as with companies like as influencers and affiliates and all of that too. And so you're still raw right now.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, my perfect day, like I mentioned, is a fruit all day. So, like, I do start my day off with my greens before I go to the gym, and I mineralize and take my greens, and then go to the gym, come back, and I'll take a shake, my protein shake.
Mhm.
And Dr. Morse might thank me for that, but it's a plant-based protein, and we do all need some protein. We can overdo it for sure, but I take it, and I see progress with our protein, with our plant-based. Smooth, it's delicious. And then from then on, it's fruit the rest of the day. I'll come home for lunchtime and have watermelon. I'm still eating watermelon from my
Mhm.
farm. I have a farm. And then and I make a big smoothie for finish it off with a smoothie and eat some more fruit. And then before I eat dinner tonight, I will have like a nice quart of smoothie that I made for lunch. I keep that with me, and then eat a salad later. So it's simple. I don't get hungry. If I get hungry, I'll do some smoothie.
Mhm. I love smoothies too because it's great. You can just put the powders and everything in them. And you've been in the raw field now for so long. You know so much. What are maybe some of the greatest lessons you've learned? Or if like you were to start being raw all over again at the beginning, like maybe some things you do differently or anything you've learned along the way?
Well, I think it's the fruit. I think it's the fruit. Like Dr. Morse teaches, uh, we should eat according to our physiology. And what are we built like? We're primates. I'm convinced of it. He's got me convinced. We're not built like a chicken, hog, or a dog. We're built like a primate. And so our major food to me is fruit and alkalizing the body. Everything runs smoother and alkalizing more. The bones, my dentist said, "Gosh, your bones are great. In the jaw and everything is just perfect. And so everything is working so much better. My only regret is I didn't do it a long time ago.
Mhm.
I've always done a lot of fruit, but not like this. You know, and so I did a fruit challenge, the 14-week fruit challenge, and I've eliminated some pain that I've had, a lower back issue that I hurt my back years ago, and I still have some of that. I'll admit I still have some of that, but not as bad. It takes time. That's the other thing is when people change their diet, they expect things to happen just like that, and it takes the body a while to heal, and depending on the condition, it takes the body a while. My one son, I raised him raw, raw food kid, and when he turned 16, he got his driver's license, and it went out the window. Our diet went out the window. He went from raw to junk, like in 180. He did 180, and it took about 12 years or so to kill his kidneys. He destroyed his
Wow.
kidneys. Yeah. And so that's how I found Dr. Morse. John Rose, I talked to him on the phone, getting advice, and he says, "You might talk to Dr. Morse, talk to his team," and there's where I found fruit. And yeah, it's probably one of the biggest things I've learned is it's a big deal. Fruit is a big deal for sure. And a lot of raw fooders, I see they are kind of constricted. Well, maybe a lot of them, but I've watched a few and they haven't aged well. And I think
Mhm.
they're lacking sprouts. I think they lack sprouts. I think they lack green. Like I like to grow my own greens, and when I eat them, I don't like to wash them because they have that bacteria on the leaf that's really good for the B12. We produce our own B12 and things. So I think getting all the greens, and if you can grow your own, that's even better. But sometimes you can't. But the sprouts, the greens, if you can do some juicing, and you're doing all of that. I know you are, and not seasoned sprouts.
Absolutely. I think they're so important. And your son, so wow, that's so interesting to me. So you raised him raw. So I'm wondering, like, I'm just curious, did he thrive raw as a kid? Like that was always my dream to have my last daughter, Victoria, fully raw. And then it wasn't the case with her thriving. So we took a different path and
Oh,
she's not raw. And I mean, maybe had I back then though, I wasn't supplementing and things were,
yeah.
I didn't know as much about supplementing when she was born and all that. So had I been, then maybe things would have been a bit different. But how was it with your son as a kid? Like I'm interested to know, like, was he totally thriving on raw food?
Yeah, he was doing well. My kids hardly ever get sick.
Amazing.
Look, my last two, they were raw. And the problem is this crazy world we live in. As soon as you send them to school, now it's just tough because, they're being exposed to all the crap. And it's hard to keep them,
It is.
off,
That's like
and
my
so
kids. Yeah,
yeah,
my kids with school. It's like the same thing. It's like after school, it's all the kids have like chips and candy. And then it's like I feel like if I go interject and I'm like, don't eat, it just makes it worse. So like
yeah,
it's pretty crazy. So he grew up and then he went the other way and started eating
yep.
everything else. You'd think that maybe he would not want to because you see a lot of raw kids raised like that. And then like they look at it and they're like, ew, I don't even want this. So that's interesting that he did want it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, see, you see kids that are raised in the church and they're so strict, religious strict, and as soon as they're out of the house, man, they blow out. And so I don't know the answer. I think you can be too strict. I think you have to teach them the correct principles, and then they have to use their mind and think about it. You have to teach them in a way that makes sense, and then they have to make their own decision.
Mhm.
Ultimately, it's their decision. And I've learned that I mean, here's the true and correct principles. Now it's in your court. You need to make your mind up. And once they feel that weight of their own responsibility, I think they can if they understand. It's just getting them to understand that, and doing it in a loving way. And if they know that you're not there just to discipline, but you're there to love them, and that you're in their court, that you're there for them, then they seem to get it better, I think. But I
Mhm.
wish I figured it out. Every
I
kid's
think so
different.
too. I
Everybody's
think
different.
I think as human beings too, we don't like to be told what to do. And the more we tell someone what to do, at least that seems with my daughter, the more I tell her, it seems to make it way worse. It seems to make her just want to run for like Wendy's or McDonald's if I'm like, eat these cucumbers, like when you say it. So it's such a fine line, like of giving them freedom, but also like, okay, wait a second. You don't want to like poison them. But I don't know. The world we live in, it's very hard because we're such a minority. And the majority is like, the popcorn, the pizza, the donuts, the candy, the
Yeah,
cake, like
yeah,
and okay, so you also you said 14 weeks on fruit. Did you say?
yeah. Yes.
That's interesting. So did you
Yeah.
notice any benefits from that? Did you
Ah.
crave greens and was that beneficial?
Yes, it was very beneficial because I was really going through my back issues affected my hips, and that pain from my hips went away. And I don't think it's really it. I don't think it came back at all, but it's gone now completely. Because then I go, wow, I get a testimonial of how much better I feel and the digestion and everything. Just I'm really curious about some of these guys that are totally fruitarian. I'm not sure if that's the way to go
Hmm.
because I think we need greens and
Me
nuts and
too.
seeds, But I think if the majority of your food is fruit, that's the way I feel better. I
Yeah.
like the way things run. It cleanses your system out, and I just like that feel. So I think that's probably the way to go.
Me
Is
too. I like to do only fruit for short periods of time, like a month or something, but then I really crave the greens and I like the
yeah,
variety. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm interviewing Ted Carr today after you, and I'm excited for that because so he's fruit based. He's almost pretty much fruitarian for the most
wow,
part. And he's
wow.
had like a big fitness transformation recently. I don't know if you've seen him. Like he's
No,
really gotten big from the gym lately. So I'm interested to talk about that, but I'm with you on the fruit too. And well, this has just been so amazing. I just think you're such an incredible
thank you.
person.
That's nice. Thank
And I'm
you.
wondering, maybe just like before we end off with everybody, is there maybe any inspiration you have for anybody out there who might be going through a hard time or struggling and they want to get their health in order, or maybe they're facing some difficulties in their life and they just want to take the next best step, but they don't know how to get started or they're having a hard time?
That's a good question. Some people never get it, Jillian. Like as we talked about, they don't put that link in there. But I say if someone hears the call, if they hear it, if they feel it, because it probably is there in every one of us. We know what's good for us, and we know, and so just know this, that when we cook something, it's not improving it. I just don't see the improvement of it. Maybe there's a few things like they say the carrots, you're getting the lycopene or whatever, but cooking food doesn't improve it. So if they could just start increasing that amount more and more, and I think being plant-based is number one. Be vegan, be plant-based is number one. And if they're not that yet, just take one step at a time and don't overwhelm themselves. Don't beat themselves up, and just get on the path and listen to Gillian Berry every morning.
Yeah.
Because this is inspiring. I think we need to strengthen one another, encourage one another, and read the books, the documentaries on plant-based, to keep us on that course, keep us on that path, And so the ultimate me is raw food, and it's not that hard once you get it dialed in. It seems hard, but it's all right there, right? It's in the mind.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, well said. And I'm just wondering if there's like if everything were to end tomorrow and you could leave behind like 3 books and 1 quote, what would that be?
3 books and 1 quote. Well, Arnold Ehret, Mucusless Healing Diet System. You're getting me stumped here.
It's okay. That's why I don't go live very often.
know,
I get stumped
Paul
too.
Bragg, Paul Bragg's books, Hilton Hotima, another one, this big thing. There's some greats out there. Victoras Glavinkas, he's a great guy. He's really a great guy. He formulated our enzymes for us.
Wow.
And the quote I would think is that our answer lies in nature, and you put our path on nature's path. That opens up all of the other things like spirituality. Some people I see very, very spiritual people, but they eat like barbarians, and so to me they're missing a link. If we perfect this temple, it naturally leads us to God, to me, to a higher source, and that puts us on the path to do better and better and better. And we are all going to screw up. Don't beat ourselves up, and just get back on the path. And to me, it's the perfection of this temple. And then we want to open ourselves up to more love, because it's all about love. All there is love. It really is. And love for the animals, love for each other. And, in this crazy world we live in now, that's the answer, is love. If we love one another, we wouldn't have crazy stuff happening. And it all begins with stop shedding blood, really. Stop shedding blood and cleanse your temple and love everybody. And
It's so true.
yeah.
And I think it really is like I think it's really like a key to happiness too, like loving everybody and being kind. When I was on my juice fast recently, I kept having this dream about this saying, like kindness is my happiness. And I think it's just so true because it's very hard to be happy if you're not being kind and loving. I think if you just become kind and loving, naturally you become very happy too.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. And we can be a good person, but are we really nice? Are we really nice to people?
Mhm.
Shape up here. Put a smile. One guy, the guy in our church, he was up giving a sermon. It was funny. He goes, we really should be happy more often. Put a smile on your face. Be happy. Are you there on the front row? He pointed. Put a smile on your face. It was so funny because we really, when you see people, we should be smiling. We should be happy. We
It's
have a
so true.
lot to be grateful for. Yes, and that's like passes it on to everybody else. To be happy and have a smile. I catch myself frowning. I'm going, come on, we can do better than that.
Yeah. I saw something I saw something last week and they were saying like they were down and that, or no, it's, I forget this guy's channel, Roman. He's really huge. I think it's Roman Atwood. I might be pronouncing it wrong, but he has like 15 or 20 million subscribers. And he created a line called Smile More. And he said when he used to be down, he would just make himself smile more. And then all of a sudden, like he just started feeling happier. So I think I have to do that. I think it's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, look at uh look at the beauty. Look how much more beautiful people are when they're smile instead of a frown.
So
They just
true.
so much more attractive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Denley, I think you're so awesome. And I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. I think it's just so inspiring, your whole life story, everything with your daughters and the path you've been led down and your own health journey and creating all like your amazing products. I really truly love them. I think they're amazing. And I think
Thank
you're
you
amazing. And I know you're just like, you're
so
not the
much.
type that's like, oh, I'm going to go on your channel to promote my products. Like you have like genuine intention. And I think that's what like life is all about. And it's a bonus. Your products are amazing. If anybody wants to save on those, I'll put my link down below. Go check out Sunwarrior. They're incredible if you don't have them already. And go follow Denley. You're amazing. If you want to let everybody know where they can find you or I'll link everything down below as well, the websites as well.
Sure, yeah. You could, and I usually answer my email, especially if you put a note in there, saw your podcast or something. But Denley, Denley at sunwarrior.com or Denley at Soul Journey, SOL Journey.com. And that's our two companies. And one company is mainly products. The other one is like we have courses on how to find ourselves, our purpose, our direction, find a higher power, and it gets into dreams, all kinds of stuff. So we have, a lots of cool things.
Wow.
So work with, talk to people. Love it.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Well, again, this has been super interesting, super awesome. I adore you. I think you're awesome. And I enjoy getting to know you more and more.
Yeah.
And to the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a big thumbs up right now and make sure to subscribe if you don't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye-bye.